Appointments this evening.
Well, I can't follow that up. That's fantastic. Thank you, Mary, for your service. So I have 3 officers: Benjamin Cassett, Sergeant Mike Grissom, and Detective Michael Wisbaum. This is Officer Cassett's first complete year of service. He is shown to be an exemplary officer and serves the community well. Sergeant Grissom's in charge of a squad, does our traffic committee, also writes grants for us and handles that, and does accidents investigations, besides running the squad and handling their calls for service and that. And Detective Wisbaum was put into service, I think it's been a year and 2 years probably. Has proved to be a very thorough, professional, and effective detective, and brought a lot of good cases to court. So I would request their reappointment.
Okay, are there any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Hydrich, to approve the reappointments of Officer Benjamin Cassett, Sergeant Mike Grissom, and Detective Mike Wisbaum. And all of those are for the 1-year appointment as usual. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the reappointments. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yep.
Council.
Keep up the
Thank you,
great
Mary.
work, Chief.
Thank you. Public hearings, rezone area behind 1403 Jefferson Street from R1A Single Family Residential to C1 Light Commercial.
Do anything there? Okay. All right, good evening. So yes, this is a request for a rezoning. It's addressed at 1403 Jefferson Street. So this is the Exit 11 coffee shop where the drive-through is, the old gas station there off Jefferson. The reason on your ordinance and on the agenda it's got a parcel number is because we wanted to be clear that it is the parcel that's highlighted here, because it stretches behind both of these. But 1403 is this address, and this property is owned by the same group, and so that's why that's the address we chose. This to the south is actually owned by a different group. But the property is currently zoned R1A, single-family residential, and you can see the subject property, or the adjoining property and the property that's owned by the same group is C1, light commercial, and they're requesting to rezone it to the light commercial. It is the parking lot area for the rear of both of these lots. It sits topographically significantly higher than this is the Boris Club directly below it. So the Boris Club is zoned residentially as a fraternal organization, which is permitted there. This piece here is really unlikely to ever be developed residentially. It doesn't have access to any residential streets. They actually have to get access through these commercial structures or commercial properties. So we do recommend approval of the rezoning to C1, and this did go to Planning and Zoning last week, and they voted unanimously to approve the rezoning. And there was no comments from neighbors.
Any questions, comments?
You need a motion to approve this?
Public hearing.
It's a public hearing. So anyway, is there anyone here who would like to address the council on this item? Okay. So we would need a motion to accept this into the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Solentrup, to accept this item into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you accepted the item. Thank you.
An ordinance rezoning parcel ID number 10-8-27.0-2-099-006.100 from R1A Single Family Residential District to C1 Light Commercial Zoning District in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilman Patke. This is the ordinance that follows the previous item. Are there any questions or comments?
An ordinance rezoning parcel ID number 10-8-27.0-2-099-006.100 from R1A Single Family Residential District to C1 Light Commercial Zoning District in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Wessels? Heidrich?
Aye.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit? Sullentrup?
Yes.
Obermark?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Hatchke?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Voluntary annexation, Jasper Farm.
All right, yes, so the next item on the agenda is a public hearing for voluntary annexation of approximately 13.3 acres here. It's a portion of the Jasper Farm. It's actually the last piece that has not been annexed in. And actually, last April, when we annexed Meadow Lake Farms, it actually created this kind of donut hole in the middle. So this area highlighted is currently not in the city limits. Everything around it is. So this will be kind of bringing it into uniform. And this is just a public hearing for the annexation. There's no vote tonight. If you remember, we haven't done an annexation in a while, but we have to wait, I think it's 2 weeks before we can pass an ordinance to let public comment be submitted to the city clerk's office. And so this is just the start of that. It did go to planning and zoning last week. They are requesting to annex all 13. You can see here, the white is outside the city limits, so you can kind of see it's surrounded here. So it is uniforming our boundary, which is good. They're requesting to bring in just about all of it as C2 general commercial. That's what the red is here. So it'll be adjoining the rest of this commercial development that is adjacent to it. There is 0.6 acres that they are requesting up here, and later on your agenda tonight you'll see a plat that they are requesting to bring in as multifamily. Because Don Avenue is requested eventually plan to come through here, they'll square off this lot, and I'll kind of show you. Here you go. With Don Avenue creating a four-way intersection, again, this plat is on your agenda later. This area hatched in red is going to come in as multifamily. And so the way this will work with easier legal descriptions, and instead of describing just this portion as multifamily and the rest of it is C2, after the time period is up for comment on the annexation at your next meeting on December 7th, we'll have an ordinance for the annexation. We'll have a final plat for this plat, and then we'll also do the zoning ordinance to make sure everything is zoned correctly for the multifamily and C2. And so we kind of have to wait to finalize this until the annexation is done, and then we'll complete the plat and zoning at the next meeting. So I know it's kind of confusing, but you'll see later I have a full plat. You'll see the full layout for the preliminary plat. So again, no vote on either of those tonight, just to accept them to the minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept it in the minutes.
Second.
It's a public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
You're getting a little ahead of yourself here. Okay, is there anyone who would like to address the council on this item?
Make a motion.
Okay. So
Second.
now we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Obermark, to accept this item into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you've accepted the item. Thank you.
Citizens' comments?
Is there anyone here who would like to address the council on any item that is not on the agenda? Okay.
Reported department heads?
Anybody have
Ordinances and
anything?
resolutions. An ordinance amending Section 705.120 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri.
Sullentrup.
Introduced by Councilman Sullentrup.
All right, good evening, council. This code section is located in the sanitary sewer section of the city's code. When we were going through our industrial user permits, we issue permits to special industrial users, such as frags, for whatever they discharge into our sanitary sewer. Those user permits reference the city code section that applies to a fee. That fee has always been in place. It's been in place for well over a decade. And when we were cross-referencing those, Kevin Quatham actually brought to my attention that the code section somehow has inadvertently been left out of the code book. Mary and I researched it a little bit, and we think what happened was during the encode, or bringing the code up to what it is today, I don't know, that might have been a year ago now, that it was inadvertently left out. I consulted with Mark Piontek about that. Since the code was never officially changed, it was more of an error, just a bit more or less like a typo. That all we'd have to do is just bring it to your attention again, remove this section of code, replace it, and put it back in there just so it's in there. When somebody is to pick up a code book, they can reference it. It does not change anything. The fee doesn't change. The fee was always in place. It literally is just replacing something that was inadvertently left out.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
An ordinance amending Section 705.120 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri. Wessels? Heidrich?
Aye.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit? Sullentrup?
Yes.
Obermark?
Aye.
Holtzmeyer?
Aye.
Patchke?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
An ordinance accepting the bid from Herb Equipment Company, Inc., Cuba, Missouri, and to approve the purchase of a John Deere 544L wheel loader by the City of Washington, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer.
Good evening, council. We spoke about this a little bit at the last council meeting. So this is replacing our current front-end loader that we have at the street department. We budgeted $175,000. The loader came in with attachments at $188,000. We got a $56,000 trade-in on our old one, gives us about $132,000 for a new loader. The new loader is a change from Caterpillar to John Deere. Since we have a John Deere at our recycle center, all the attachments that we are buying with this one will also interchange with the one at the recycle center. So,
Okay.
any questions?
Any questions?
An ordinance accepting
Thank
the
you, Tony.
bid from Herb Equipment Company, Inc., Cuba, Missouri, and to approve the purchase of a John Deere 544L wheel loader by the City of Washington, Missouri. Wessels? Heidrich?
Aye.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit? Sullentrup?
Yes.
Obermark?
Aye.
Holtzmeyer?
Aye.
Patchke?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance accepting the bid from Jurel Mechanical Contractors and to approve the purchase of a compressor by the City of Washington, Missouri.
Heidrich.
Introduced by Councilman Heidrich.
Good evening, council. This is another compressor at the library that went out. As you may remember, last time we had one of these go out, we knew that we would probably have more go out due to the kind of long-standing effects that the system had been under for so long. We made it for a while, a number of months without having any issues, and then in late October, we had a compressor go out. So there's 3 units, we have 3 zones, and we have one of the 3 zones off, so it doesn't ruin the other 3 compressors. So I'm asking you to consider the bid by Gerald Mechanicals for $9,593 to get this compressor replaced and back up and running. If it was wintertime, January, because we went through this last year about that time, would be semi-cold in there with only 2 of the 3 zones running, but we're lucked out right now with the warm weather.
Any questions or comments?
An ordinance accepting the bid from Jurel Mechanical Contractors and to approve the purchase of a compressor by the City of Washington, Missouri. Wessels? Heidrich?
Aye.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit? Sullentrup?
Yes.
Obermark?
Aye.
Holtzmeyer?
Aye.
Patchke?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for the overlook at Weber Farms, Plat 5 in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer.
Okay, so this is a very simple, very minor boundary adjustment at the overlook at Weber Farms. I remember just a couple months ago, we approved Plat 4, which is the next phase, highlighted in here. And the reason being is it's so new that the county maps haven't updated yet with these new lots. If you remember, that Plat 4 extended Weber Heights Drive to the east here and connected to the south. So Lot 14R here is in Plat 3. That's this lot right here at the intersection of Poolbrook and Weber Heights. And then this lot 57R was part of the next phase, which is directly to the east of that lot. Those were on two different plats. They thought they had more room here. They have a certain width they needed for this lot and a house layout that they had decided on, and they need to move it 2.87 feet to the west. So it's that minor, but they need the 6-foot side yard setback on the side. And this house that's already been built has a wide enough rear yard setback because of how the house is located that they have the space to move that line to the west. So it is, you can barely see it, but it's existing lot line to be moved 2.87 feet just to the west. So pretty simple, but it gets them the layout they need for the house.
I have been out there lately. Is any of this connected yet to Beaker Road?
Not to Beaker, but the Rabbit Trail, so this is all connected now. You can now get from Rabbit Trail to Weber Heights.
Okay.
So the east-west connection is there, which is what was required for the fire department. South to Beaker, there's a creek that would have to be crossed, and there's actually a different family to the south that would have to sell.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for the overlook at Weber Farms, Plat 5, in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Wessels? Aye. Hydrich?
Aye.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit? Aye. Sullentrup?
Yes.
Obermark?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Hatchke.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance amending the 2021 budget of the city of Washington, Missouri.
Scornia.
Introduced by Councilman Scornia.
As we mentioned at the last city council meeting, on the purchase of the 2 acres, the 2.08 acres that you're about to see a subdivision plat that highlights that on 8A and 8B on your agenda, the next few items. We did need to go ahead and amend the budget to reflect that we're going to be using these funds out of the capital improvement sales tax fund. So this is for that purchase of that 2.08 acres of for $35,359.99. That's our purchase price based upon our formula of what we owe to the county.
Any questions or comments?
An ordinance amending the 2021 budget of the city of Washington, Missouri. Wessels? Aye. Hydrich?
Aye.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit? Aye. Sullentrup?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Obermark?
Aye.
Hatchke.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Commission, committee, and board reports. Preliminary plat approval, Phoenix Center 2, Plat 10, a re-subdivision of Lot 8.
All right, thank you. So as Darren just mentioned, that sale that is going through for this 30 acres above Coles off South Point Road, there is a plat that has to be associated with that in order for us to retain the 2 acres that we need. And at the same time, talking to the purchaser of it, they said, well, let's just go ahead and plat out an additional lot that they plan on selling themselves just to save some time. And we had no problem with that. So the property is zoned C2, general commercial, which does not have any minimum lot sizes. And each proposed lot here does have adequate right-of-way frontage and access to public utilities and infrastructure. But Lot 8B here is the 2.08 acres that we will be holding on to. 8A is the other one we're cutting off by request of the purchaser. And then this is the remainder of the acreage. Again, there's easements shown along property lines for future utility extension. I anticipate that once these get sold off and developed, we'll see some type of plat amendment to see a road and utilities actually coming through here and all of that, but that would be in a future phase.
So where do you think the projected driveway is going to be going into that?
Into Lot 8A, into ours, or 8B. Probably smack dab in the middle there. I'm trying to
We
think
would
if it-
check with, we would check with, to make sure that there's adequate site distance there. So it could be probably closer to the north, I think we've looked at. Isn't that right, John? Yes. So, go back to the.
On the straight
plat.
stretch
There
there?
you go. There you go, up there.
Okay.
We talked about possibly if there was a road, a shared access between the two lots. You know, that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, so Chief Frankenberg and I actually went out there and took a look at it. It is, we get your point there, Sal.
Between the,
It would be located somewhere right in here, which would be the access. There is a pretty finite location of where that drive could go, just with the curvature of the road, and there's actually a little hill right in this area. Sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to hit you with that. But yeah, it'd be located at the northern part of that lot that we're purchasing. So,
and the other one, the main entrance for the rest of the subdivision be down.
yeah, I mean,
west.
we haven't necessarily seen it. I mean, the current entrance to get up there, to get up to that house, I think is somewhere right in here. You know, it could go anywhere kind of in this area.
Okay.
Stay away from the hillside, obviously, coming down the hill, that type of thing. But we haven't seen anything on the exact location.
Thank you.
And then this last thing I'll mention is that there's also a final plat ordinance on here tonight as well. Because the access and utilities and everything are at the site, there's no performance bond or performance agreement needed. And so that's why you see the final plat on your agenda tonight as well, which does help with meeting the schedule of the sale.
Okay, so are there any questions or comments? We'll need a motion and a second to approve.
Making a motion to approve it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Solentrub, seconded by Hydrich, to approve the preliminary plat approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the item. Thank you.
An ordinance approving the final plat of Phoenix Center 2, Plat 10, in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer. This is the ordinance that follows the previous item. Any questions or comments?
An ordinance approving the final plat of Phoenix Center 2, Plat 10, in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Wessels? Aye. Hydrich?
Aye.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit? Aye. Solentrub?
Yes.
Obermark?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Hatchke?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Preliminary plat, Terrace in Washington.
All right, so this is the preliminary plat that I was mentioning on the Camp Schrader piece and adjacent to the Jasper Farm that we just saw an annexation on. We've actually looked at this, if you remember, a few times this year already, just this general area with there was a rezoning that we've done, and I'll show that map at the end of the presentation. And we actually had a public hearing on the rezonings back in August, and we decided to, we didn't vote on them that night because we wanted to wait until the plat was done, and that way the zoning request could actually match lot numbers, which is what they're proposing tonight. However, the final plat is not on the agenda tonight because we have to wait for the annexation to be complete. And so this is just to accept the preliminary plat into the minutes, and then at your December 7th meeting, we anticipate doing the annexation, final, and rezoning all on one agenda. But as you can see here, as we talked about last time, the Camp Schrader piece as it exists today, there's about 9 parcels there, some of them which are landlocked, they don't have adequate access, and so this is the first phase of a subdivision that will actually kind of clean that up and actually consolidate into less lots and show the where the future growth will be. It is worth mentioning that our comprehensive plan does have in our future roadmap an east-west connection through here. You know, it just kind of has a corridor from Pottery Road to either the highway or towards High Street. But we do have a plan for an east-west connection to basically allow for almost an outer road of the highway here. So there's a lot going on here on this plat, but you can kind of just see the general area of what they're platting here. So Everything that's not in a dotted line is what's actually proposed to be platted. And this is Bolin Lane coming off of Highway 100. It would be a new access to Highway 100. They show a 50-foot right-of-way to the highway. Now, MoDOT has not approved that. We fully anticipate a traffic study will have to be done, and whatever the traffic study says, we will support what, if it does say a light is needed, we're not sure if it really would with access to Pottery and High Street, maybe just some improvements to the highway. But we requested that the applicant put 50-foot of right-of-way there for whatever is proposed in the future, that we'd have the room there. They have this Lot 1, which is consolidating most of the parcels here. Actually, here you go. This will be, everything in blue is going to be the multifamily. Everything in red is proposed to be commercial, and then this yellow is the single-family attached that we had the public hearing on back in August, and this is the area that is going to be a buffer between Meadow Lake and the apartments. The only piece in this first phase, so this Plat 1 of the Terrace in Washington, is actually platting this portion of Bolin Lane and this portion of Tobin Way, and both of these are close enough to the intersection here that they're less than 150 feet, or not more than 150 feet from the intersections for fire lane purposes. And then in the future, as they extend, you can see, it's hard to see on here, but the dotted line brings Tobin Way up to Pottery Road, and then Bolin Lane will actually curve around and connect as well, so that way it has adequate access and it meets the fire code. So we are recommending approval of this first preliminary plat. It went to Planning and Zoning last week. They voted unanimously to approve it as well. The only condition that we had on it, and it would be something that's to be done at a future phase, is that right now they show at this four-way intersection, Don Avenue coming to the intersection and terminating here, and then Tobin Way going further west and having two different street names. We would recommend either one of those being changed so it's one street all the way through, whether it's Don Avenue all the way or Tobin Way all the way through. I think that would just be easier and cleaner for the outer road. And the applicant is aware of that condition at Planning and Zoning and mentioned changing one of those. I will say, before the final plat in December, and we've passed this on to the applicant already, Bolin Lane was denied by our 911 and communication staff. Apparently there is a Bolin Lane outside the city limits that is in our
Emergency response.
yes,
Emergency
our service
response.
area, thank you. And so we have let the applicant know that, and when they come back with a final plat in December, they will have new street names that would have had to have been approved by communications. So this will change a little bit, but the general layout that you see here, they actually have, I think the reason we're pushing this is it's scheduled to close on some of these lots on the residential side. So we'll come back on December 7th and kind of finalize the zoning, that final plat, and the street names. So.
Okay, are there any questions or comments? Thank you, Sal.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so we'll need a motion to approve this one as well.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Overmark, to approve the preliminary plat for the Terrace in Washington. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approved that item. Thank you.
Mayor's report.
Well, I guess in thinking that this will be our last meeting before Thanksgiving, so wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. In spite of what the year has been like, we all have much to be thankful for. And be safe when you're out with your family or together with your family. And but I think that we have much to be thankful for, and especially our entire community does. So it's at times like this when we really see the strength of our community, and it's just heartwarming to see people coming out and helping others. So anyway, so happy Thanksgiving, and Mary, happy Thanksgiving to you, and good time to tell you thank you one more time for all your years of service. So.
Thank you. City Administrator's report.
Well, first, I'd like to go ahead and thank Mary for the years of service that you've done. Thank you for making it easy for me to transition in what I do. You were always there to help me go ahead and research and get things done, so I can't appreciate it and tell you thank you enough.
You're welcome.
Secondly, I guess the couple of things we would like to talk about as far as operations go, we did let the employees know that due to the heightened number of cases with regards to COVID, we've asked them to go ahead and mask up when they come into City Hall until they get to their work locations, and then once they get on their floor, then they can go ahead and, at that time, go ahead and take off their mask or whatever if they need to. But as they leave the building or switch up and down from floor to floor, we've asked them to go ahead and do that. It's just a precautionary measure, but we've also seen our share of employees that have to quarantine, and so we're seeing it firsthand ourselves with our workforce and how we're dealing with that. So with that, we did ask the department heads to kind of take a look again at what they did last March with regards to staffing. And so I think, John, can you share a little bit with what Public Works is be doing with Tony's crews and Kevin's crews?
Yeah, Council, if you recall, last March, we actually went to 3 12-hour shifts with the remaining 4 hours of that work week as being on call, split the departments up, and actually took the water, wastewater, and street department and meshed them together to kind of get some experience, I guess, with the priority work and water main breaks. We did that to some success, I believe. Those were Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday shifts, Thursday, Friday, Saturday shifts for the second group. This time, obviously it's winter time, we don't have 12 hours of daylight. So I left it up to Tony and Kevin on their work days as far as how they want to handle them. Kevin took his department, split them up. They're working out of 2 different bays with a separation bay in between. Those individuals, they're 4 and 5 person groups. They work with themselves and no one else. The on-call team calls in that group. If a group can't come in, they call the other one to come in. Keeps everybody separated. They do not intermingle with each other. They chose to go 4-10. So we got a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday group. We got a Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday group. So that's how we have those split up with everybody working in the middle of the week. Again, they don't intermingle. Tony's crew, they did something similar. They're actually working 5/8 standard shifts, just split up. Reason for that is we're leaf vacuuming right now, and we didn't necessarily want to get those vac trucks on the streets that soon. So that's kind of how we're handling it. We did cut back on some of the temps that we utilize on leaf vacuum. Historically in the past, we'd had temps on to work with the leaf vac, and then we kept the crew out doing concrete work, everything else. We did not knowing which temps we would get every day. I pulled the plug on the temps, and now only street department employees are working leaf vacuum. On the days we can't leaf vac due to a quarantine situation or something like that, then we'll transition over to do some of the other smaller concrete tear-out jobs. It's just going to take us a while to get through some of these things. Other than that, I think leaf vac is going fairly well. We've had pretty good weather with it. I would just ask everyone to stay patient with us. We are getting through town and those things. Trash service from the contractor, it's been fairly good. They had a run middle of the month where they had different drivers in town because they too were getting hit with some quarantines and that thing. I think we have the steady drivers back in service, so I wouldn't anticipate that we have any issues with that too much. But I'll keep you up to date on kind of what's going on. I mean, everybody's dealing with temps and fill-ins, so. Can answer any questions, you guys can always contact me.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Did you have anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Council comments? Discussion on maximum number of pets, including chickens.
We had a request from one of the council members to go ahead and take a look at this. Just to give you, for some of you that might remember, I think the city looked at this back in 2016, because I went back through the minutes, and at that time, I think Jim had provided a report at that time to the council members, primarily about the number of domestic animals that a household could have. We have no limitation within the city. We've had it that way for, I think, for as long as I've known, or at least any time that anybody had asked me in the past for that. Also with regards to if people have chickens in residential areas or any other areas, as far as that goes, we do not have any regulations at that time for those as well. So if there is something that you'd like us to go ahead and pursue and look into a little bit further, we could. I've asked Chief how many complaints with regards to, has it had a drain on their resources, following up on complaints, and he has indicated that it is not. We have few isolated incidences where they have been called to residential areas, et cetera. So with that, I'm up to whatever the council wishes us to go ahead and take a look at, but that's exactly what you have in place now with regard to restrictions.
Hey, Mark, do we have a nuisance ordinance right now?
Yes,
Would that go under, chickens go underneath the nuisance ordinance?
yes.
Correct.
If they are creating a nuisance by smell, odor, noise, that can all be covered currently.
So this would be covered under, so there's
Yes.
really no big reason to go any further with it. We got a nuisance ordinance right now. I don't know which one of the council persons brought it up, but
Be me.
I don't know if you knew that we had the nuisance ordinance or not.
Well, this is definitely a nuisance. There's an odor there. They had roosters. They had several roosters. They got rid of the roosters, so the noise problem was gone, but they had dogs barking. When I walk in the morning, I can hear the dogs barking a couple blocks away on occasion.
Well, under our nuisance ordinance, I think I would recommend to have them call either City Hall or Police Department and make a complaint, and they would go take care of it, right, Chief?
I like checking derelict vehicles.
That's the understanding we had when we talked about
I'm
this
sure
last
they've
time,
called
Steve.
you several times.
And we've told them we'll take a nuisance complaint, and we've asked they record the times and supply us that information, so we have more than just one incident. We figured several incidents would be a stronger case, so. And we've always been open to nuisance. We've done nuisance ordinances before for violations, but just one dog barking one time isn't necessarily a nuisance. Somebody might consider it is, but we like to have a history. And same with the chickens. They were recording times and they got rid of the roosters next door. We've checked a number of times the matter left behind by chickens and how they've cleaned it up. They've done what they can to mitigate that. I'm not sure how much more you want to ask of them. Other than to keep their dogs inside, I don't know.
Is there a citation you can give somebody for a nuisance ordinance?
We do a case and issue a summons to forward to the prosecutor for review. So,
What is the protocol, Chief, as far as if someone does apply for a nuisance?
officer goes, investigates the nuisance, we'll talk with the owner of the animal in question over the nuisance. We'll discuss, of course, talk with the complainant, get their statements, look at the conditions. Is there anything that can be abated? Would it be reasonable to have them abated? Would that be all right with the neighbors to have them abated? Try the abatement. If that doesn't work out, then we go further. And that's when we get into how many times are they barking and being a nuisance? Is it every day? Is it once a week? But then ultimately, we take what information we have, if they want to pursue it, and we forward it to the prosecutor.
Well, I don't know, it just seems like a unique situation where the people that have the chickens have the chicken house as far away from their house as they can get it. It's right on the property
It's
line.
right next to the property line, yes.
And
So they don't want
prevailing wind blows at the neighbor's house. It's just a bad situation.
But I can say that the times we've contacted them once about it, and they cleaned it up.
So
We can check again.
maybe you need to go again, or? Has that been a while ago?
It's been a while ago.
Okay.
That's when those people need to be coming to us rather than a councilman. They need to come directly to the police department and make their complaint, and we can handle it.
Okay. Anyone, anything else? on
Yeah,
that?
I'd like to bring up a mask mandate again for the city of Washington because of what's going on in the city, and the amount of cases that we're having is unbelievable. I think if we use Mark Piontek's or Mark Scornia, sorry, barometer of how to mandate the mask, that would be proper, or if we have a sunset put into the ordinance, that would help the citizens out that way, because it's getting, I've got texts from doctors, and it's unbelievable how many cases, and it's almost overwhelming. And it seems like the county just wants to educate, and we tried that. That's not working. I think it's time for us to step up and do a mask mandate. So I'd like to propose that for the next meeting, have a vote on that, if that's possible.
Would you like, if you do that, would you want that, I mean, I guess we did not have, I think we gave a date when we first looked into this, or first discussed it back in August. If you would want something along those lines, I think what we could look at that would probably be more, rather than an arbitrary date, would be as to something to the extent of what we also review for the use of our facilities for mass gatherings. Mark has some criteria that we use with regards, Mark Scornia does, with regards to 3 metrics that we use, meaning total number, one of them is the number of cases that we have within a 14, all of these are 14-day averages. You got the total number of cases, you got the total number of hospitalizations, and the total number of deaths. And so what we use for that is that if 2 of those are in the red, then that is what we would consider for then that is what we use once a week to review to determine whether or not we're going to let people use our facilities for mass gatherings. Again, just for the record, that is just for the city facilities. That's not private facilities.
Yeah.
Other larger scales could still go ahead and do those.
I think then we would know week to week how long we have to keep this mask mandate, and not that it's going to be permanent by any means. I hope not.
I will say that I think, Mark, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think since we put that policy in place, I think we've only had 1 week so far where the facilities have been eligible for rental. I think all the other weeks, I think we've had 2 or more categories in the red.
That is correct.
Thank you.
So you would be the one monitoring that, just like you're monitoring what you're doing.
Just
right
like I send you an email weekly on the numbers, as they're crunched after the Monday morning report comes from Franklin County. I look at the data, put it in spreadsheet form, and send a copy of that to you every Monday. That's correct. And we make the determination based off that. If 2 out of the 3 metrics are red, then we do not allow running city facilities, city-owned facilities for that week. And that would seem to be, I agree, I think that would be a reasonable measure, reasonable metric once again. Rather than just an arbitrary date that's thrown out there, you actually have some data, you actually have some evidence. Are things getting better, or are they getting worse? Because obviously right now, we've been measuring those numbers. We've had people come in here. There's no doubt situation getting worse. As Councilwoman Mark said, there's no one in the community who is untouched by this. If you look at businesses, offices, everyone is being affected by illness and being affected by the quarantines, and unfortunately, in the worst case, deaths. We've had, in this week's metric, the last 2 weeks was 8 deaths compared to 8 deaths the previous 2 weeks, 16 deaths in the past month due to COVID.
Mark, do you think there's any value in us having a special meeting to bump this up? I mean, we don't meet again for 2 weeks.
Interesting you brought that up, Mayor. I did receive a phone call today, and Darren joined in on it with me from Eric Eloff of the hospital. The St. Louis Pandemic Task Force has been crunching numbers. You saw the report last Friday. The numbers have been rising at such a rate that they had another meeting and drew more data today. And they looked at some of the projections of what is happening and what could happen by delaying if the communities do not do something to stem the tide. The projection model, I guess, was basically that I saw a delay of 1 week could end up with a difference of 600 cases, 600 admissions in the St. Louis area. Now, that's what we have today. You know, there's 600 people in St. Louis area hospitals today, and you could have that additional number in just 1 week's time, you know, by delaying these actions. So, yes, Mayor, I believe, you know, a special meeting would be a step in the correct direction.
Because by the time the December rolls around, we had gone through Thanksgiving and
Yes.
all of that. I don't know how the council feels about that, but a special meeting. And it was something that could be held here. Certainly, we don't need a large venue again,
No.
you know.
What do we need to start this in motion?
If you would like, I would suggest at the earliest, we could probably go ahead if you wanted to do a special meeting, and I would say Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening, whatever your preference is, and then after that, it's up to you. Your next city council meeting would not be till December the 7th. I know, I've got that on the calendar, I got you. So anytime after 5 o'clock, when I say be early evening, late afternoon. If you wanted to do that, that would be Wednesday, the 18th.
Mark, I'm assuming that the mask mandate is still the best way to go. I mean, we've been at odds against this for months now. I guess I still continue to see that county after county in Illinois have a mask mandate the whole entire time, and they're in the same situation we are. And if that, I guess my thing is, if we mask mandate the city of Washington, it's a false sense of security that it's just going to go away in 2 weeks, and that's not going to be the case. And I think that's what.
I don't believe that's it, Councilman. When I look at areas that have done masking, yes, they do still have a problem, but I would compare the data today. For example, the positivity rate in Franklin County, who has no masking ordinance anywhere, was 28.8% positivity rate. St. Louis County, I didn't look today, yesterday was 12% positivity rate. We're more than double. Positivity, 14-day positivity rate.
And that's how many?
The percentage of those tested.
Yes, okay, just want to
Yeah,
make sure.
the percentage of those tested who are ending up being positive. St. Louis County was 12%, 12 and change. We're 28 and change. We're more than the double. So are there still cases? Absolutely. But when I look at the places that do, the increase is less. And I know that's probably not the best explanation, but it's the truth. You know, that's what I'm seeing. So the difference is when you take Franklin County, which has 100,000 population, roughly, versus St. Louis County, which has roughly 1 million population, obviously the numbers are much higher at that 12% versus the 28% we have, if that makes any sense.
Sure, right.
But, you know, we've tried the education, we've tried the resolution, you know, none of these things are working. The numbers keep climbing. Yeah, and a month ago, roughly a month ago, the number of hospital beds capacity in the St. Louis region was 19% was used. It's now over 85%. There's no room for surge.
How are things here locally at the hospital?
They're full. Not to disclose any data or speak for Mr. Eloff, but you know their ICU capacity today, I believe, was 95%. There were over 30 patients, COVID positive patients in Mercy today. So you know they are full. They're making arrangements. They're changing some things in ambulatory surgery to make room for overflow ICU patients. And to accommodate that, they're moving procedures, surgical procedures that were being done at the hospital are being moved to the south building to accommodate those extra beds to make that happen. So surge plans, I mean, we were going over these all the way back in February, March, and April. But now they're come to fruition. You know, we thought we had the drill back in April. No, we didn't have the drill in April. We're having the drill right now. You know, the plans we made back then are now being executed.
So what we're looking at is the metric system that you're using now currently for our city rental purposes, to use the same metric system, and every Monday morning we would be under a mandate or out of mandate. Is that
What we would
correct?
suggest is, rather than go in and out every week.
Yeah, you can't do that.
The idea
That's
would
why I'm
be-
asking.
Yeah, the idea would be is that you could use it for 3 weeks in a row or 4 weeks in a row, that you have 2 out of those 3 metrics in the yellow, and then that would be a sign that, okay, the cases have come down, et cetera, and then you can go ahead and relieve it.
It gives
It being
everyone
on a
a-
Monday, you could certainly then probably coincide with a council meeting as well, so that we could quickly go ahead and probably, or figure out some way to go ahead and lift that. But I think it automatically lifts anyway if you pass that ordinance with that language in there. We discussed these metrics with Eric, if they would do it. I think they're open to that. There was not anything I heard that was any better. As a matter of fact, they helped us come up with those metrics when it came time for rental of our facilities.
And
So we
that
would
would give
just say-
someone a goal as well. That would give the people a goal to cheer towards. Hey, we made it in the yellow this week. Let's try for week 2. Let's try for week 3.
So you would want 3 consecutive weeks, or 4 consecutive
I would
weeks.
say-
You just said
I
3, but
think
4, I mean, 4 might be
internally-
better.
Internally, Darren and I were talking about 4.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
For instance, I got a text from the ER doctor. They had a heart attack case come in. They had to send it to the cath lab. And then after that, they had no ICU for this person. And so they had to just go to a regular room and hope for the best. So that's where they're at now. They're that desperate, so.
Yep. Councilman, I've heard reports, that many people, that these waits are like 8 hours. You know, that they're being cared for 8 hours, just shifting people around, trying to make a room, trying to find a room available. So, yes, conditions are serious here locally.
Do we want to open this up for discussion now, or do you want to wait until the special meeting for all the questions?
For questions?
I think we would need, for staff, we would need to know that there's enough votes of the council to hold a special meeting to consider an ordinance on there. But obviously, if you want the discussion, I would suggest if you have anything, now is the time just as much as then to go ahead and make comments.
You say December 2nd?
7th.
Mark, my first and biggest
December
question
7th.
is, it's a shame that the people that don't wear masks, and I'm one of them, it's a shame, but I, as one individual, I will stay away from somebody that has a mask on, and I want to tell people that if they don't feel safe, stay away from the people, or stay home, or don't go out. Another thing, how are we going to police it? I mean, people are not going to wear these masks, and there's so many people out there that are not going to wear them. But how, Chief, are we going to mass police these people that don't wear them?
In answer to your one question, Councilman, staying at home, that sounds good, unless you're an older person. But you still have to have caregivers, you still have people deliver groceries, you still need to, they have needs, pharmacy needs, et cetera. So you still have people making contact. And the masking is the means to prevent the virus from shedding so that it is not shared with other people. That would be the quick answer.
But how do you do it?
Depends on what the ordinance is going to say. If you gear it towards the businesses and restaurants and the bars and everything, their responsibility falls on them to make sure their patrons are masked. If they don't do that.
I'm sorry, Chief, can you take your mask off so I can understand you?
So the responsibility falls on them to have their patrons masked. If they do not do that and someone complains, then we go to the business and we cite the business for failure to comply. Now, if you have people that refuse to wear a mask and the business is telling them you can't come in and they refuse and they cause a problem and refuse to leave, then we deal with them as a trespass. Concerning everyday walking the street, if you're by yourself, there's no reason to cite you for a mask if you're by yourself.
The ordinance is very clear about, or at least the Columbia ordinance that
Yes.
we had on the agenda.
If you're running and exercising on the trail, if you're driving in a car, even if you have somebody with you, if you're at home with family or friends, there's nothing. It's strictly, mainly geared towards those individuals that want to gather in a large group and not comply, or those individuals that want to go in a business and not comply, or a business that does not want to comply.
You know and I know that you're going to get called out to, say, a gas station, a car wash, or some place, and you're going to get there, and the person's going to be gone. And you're going to get frustrated after a while of sending your people out to do that.
And I anticipate a rush to start. Like a lot of things we have, when you first initiate something, you get a rush to start, and then things gradually sink in and calm down. But there'll be a rush to start.
You have enough officers to do this?
Right now, depends what COVID does, though. I've got 2 out with COVID right now. I have 1 quarantined because he's waiting test results. And that's why, if you ask me, we need masks. I have officers now that it's affecting our department. It's becoming so much of a chance encounter finding someone that has it or encountering someone that has it and then getting infected, that now I'm seeing it within my department.
I think we're also seeing it within some of our quarantining issues with some of our employees throughout the city. aren't we?
Absolutely. It is,
Yeah.
within the last month, it has escalated.
Well, telling businesses that they got to do this is wrong on every level. They have their own rights too.
And there are some businesses that don't want it, but some businesses that want the city to mandate it.
Well, the ones that want it are the ones that should put it on the door.
Agree?
I just wish that everybody would wear a mask. And then
I wish they would.
I know it would help, but it's not going to happen.
I wish if they would wear a mask, wouldn't have any need for this. It would help immensely. Yes.
We tried that, didn't work.
I'm down in the city most of the time and been out to lunch last few days here, and a lot of the waitress and staff have masks on. A few of the littler establishments we go to down in St. Louis area, they said another shutdown would just close more doors. They are more than willing to, the waitresses and the staff, they'd much rather just wear masks and keep businesses open versus any more shutdowns. And I know, I said it's kind of been reluctant out here, but any type of shutdown, especially going to this time of year when a lot of retailers are hoping to try to make something out of the year, to have to close or shut down a store due to, a lot of the business around here are 2 or 3 people, small families, and you're around each other all day. Well, one person gets it, it shuts the whole business down. There's nobody to back it up. So it's something else to think
Tell
about.
me if I'm wrong, but didn't you tell me today they anticipate the end of December for this round? But if
If the community as a whole, the St. Louis community, puts measures in effect, then it is anticipated that this peak coming up right now would come about the last week of December.
But also that if nothing
It would
was
be
done-
peaked, or it would be going back down?
That would be the peak.
The last
But-
week in December.
It's a slow rate.
You also said something about the cases doubling from right where they are right now till the end of December.
Yes, if nothing is done, I was told from the pandemic task force, the cases would double.
So give us where we are right now and our infection rate right now. They anticipate a doubling right now from what it is in that month and a half, whatever, if we do not. So That's from the task force.
This is not a zero-sum game. It's not like we're going to stay level. You know, we're on a trajectory like this.
Okay, so what do we think? Does there anybody have an opinion away from us here?
Do we think if we start, other communities are going to follow us? Or do we, like, we're at the same thing where we're going to get people at the hospital from out of Washington, and we're still in that same situation too? I guess I'm not so optimistic that mask today and we'll be good tomorrow. I just, you know, that kind of stuff, everybody around us is going to have to do the same thing, otherwise it's not going to help either. I think you agree with that.
Councilman, past history has shown Washington to be a city of leaders. I would ask you to do it again. And others may follow.
I think we should go forward with it.
So the ordinance that we had the last time,
Correct.
There's a resolution.
the,
You had an ordinance and a resolution.
okay, but I mean, the ordinance that
failed.
we had in place.
Resolution passed.
The ordinance that we had,
Yes.
is there any chance that we could all see that again or whatever? I mean,
I can go ahead and provide you with that after the meeting's over with tonight. I will email it to you.
and,
And I can email you the copy, and it's basically mimicking the copy that was available. The only thing that's different is that you would have those parameters in there, or those metrics that we talked about.
We could spell those out.
right, we would need to put that in, but at
Correct.
least to look at that one more time. Because I think we had made some changes to that when we, because that
We did.
came from
There was some
Columbia.
changes. It didn't mimic the city of Columbia's exactly back
Right.
then in August either. There was some things that they put in there that we didn't feel was necessary. Obviously, we ran it past Mark's office, and like I said, the only change I would recommend is when, if you put it in place, when the mask mandate would be lifted.
Do we want to schedule a meeting? Or what do we want to do?
We have to take a vote on it?
Yeah, you need a motion and a second to have a special meeting if you want to do that.
I make a motion
I'll second it.
For when?
for whatever date you decide
Wednesday?
on.
Do you want the earliest that we talked about, or do you want something later? It's up to you, whoever made the motion. Earliest would be, yes, Mark, whatever, 18th.
Participating in the meeting in this fashion is still very difficult. I guess about probably a fourth or third of what you folks have been. So I would request that we have a special meeting, that maybe it be like next month, Monday. I don't know what Gretchen's status is, but I come off work in this week. So I would like to be there and participate and understand what is being said better.
What about the 30th?
Is that a week from today?
30th is available, if you stick with Mondays, the 23rd, 30th, it's up to you guys. 23rd would get you before the Thanksgiving.
I'd like to have the full council there, if that's possible, whatever date works for everybody. They can look at their calendars and figure that out.
Next Monday?
That would be the day we used to have our operations, I guess. Okay,
23rd?
23rd.
that would be next Monday.
Is that your motion, Joe?
23rd, sounds good to me.
The 23rd?
Is it okay with you guys? No. 23rd.
Work
Is Gretchen? Okay, so let's see, we have a motion, and we'll have a date with the motion, I guess. We'll have, to try to have a meeting on this on the
23rd.
November 23rd, which is next Monday. Would that be a evening meeting, same time as this one, or do we want to do it a little earlier, or?
We could do it
yeah.
at 6 o'clock if you wanted to, or it's up to 5 o'clock.
That's fine.
It's up to you. I don't,
6 o'clock.
We can do it at 5 o'clock. Does that work for you?
There's no reason to be here.
All right. Okay. 5 o'clock works. Okay. So all those in favor of having a meeting next Monday to discuss this item? Verify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do we need a roll call, Mary? Did that sound like
You
a
want a
roll
roll
call?
call?
Did that sound like one? I don't know.
close.
Wessels,
Wessels. Say it again.
Wessels. We're doing a roll call vote. Heidrich,
Nay.
Yes.
Scornia, Pettit. Sullentrup,
No.
Obermark,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Patke.
Nay.
You have 5 to 3.
Okay, so looks like we'll have a council meeting next Monday evening.
We will
I-
get you a copy of the ordinance out either later tonight or first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
Give me a copy of the resolution.
Excuse me?
Copy of the resolution.
Copy of the ordinance.
Copy of a proposed ordinance.
Oh, proposed ordinance. Can you send the resolution with it that we passed the last time?
We can make a copy of that, sure.
Okay.
Any other council comments?
Yes, I would just like to give a big kudos to Chief and all of our officers. You guys are really cracking down on derelict vehicles and unlicensed cars on the streets, and it's very much appreciated. So thank you so much. It's awesome. Keep them coming.
Did you want to?
We do have a couple items in executive session.
Gosh, sorry, Pete.
City Attorney's Report. Public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO 2000. Wessels?
Aye.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit? Sullentrup?
Yes.
Obermark?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Patke.
Yes.
We forgot to mention that there is leaf pickup beginning here, so, or ongoing. All right, thank you all.